Hello, everyone. Hello, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. It's great to have you all here. And I have here with me Emma Etuk, who is the speaker for today. I'll be introducing Emma shortly. I hope you all have a great day, and I hope you're enjoying your day. Always work so far. So, yes, this is the AWS Cloud Security West Africa Study Group, and the theme for today is securing access to AWS EC2 instance. So, like I said earlier, Ibon Etuk is the speaker for today. Ahima, are you here with us?
Yes, thank you,
Okay,
Tolu,
thank
and
you. Thank you for
great to
joining
have
us today. Yeah,
you. Welcome.
Imo is Azure MVP and an AWS community builder. Is a member of the AWS Cloud Security user group for West Africa. Currently, Imo is the one holding the leadership mantle for us all year at AWS Cloud Security West Africa. He is one of our community leader, user group leader. And Imo has been doing absolutely well. Imo has been doing absolutely well when it comes to everything we are doing here at the West Africa Cloud Security User Group. Imo is a cloud solutions architect, DevOps, cloud security, technical writer, and also a consultant with a focus on AWS, which is Amazon Web Service, Azure, Windows, Linux, DevOps, and infrastructure, every IAC tools you can think of. Yes, Zakira, it's great to have you here. So Imo is an Azure MVP also, if you know what that is. Azure MVP, not just, it's focused, like I said earlier, it's not just on AWS, it's also a great user of Azure, Microsoft Azure. In addition to everything Imo has been doing, is also a Microsoft certified trainer. So if you're looking for someone who has a knowledge of the Azure Cloud Platform, please, Imo is a go-to person for that. Is a Microsoft certified Azure Solutions Architect expert, is a certified DevOps engineer expert. He has a passion for technology and a strong commitment when it comes to helping others to grow and learn in their careers. You can see what he's doing here today is helping us learn, helping us grow. So he has that passion for that. So if you're looking for someone to um, like mentor you, get you started on your cloud journey, Imo is a go-to person for that. You can learn about Imo on imoweb.cloud. I don't think I have access, but I'll drop that shortly. So you can learn, okay, that is it, imoweb.cloud. So click on that and you can learn more about Imo on that. And yes, if you're looking for a way to get in touch with him, you can also get in touch with him through that. Thank you so much, Imo, for joining us here. Like you all
Okay.
know, this is not just a study session, this is the ability for you to win. This is the ability for you to win. So I hope you are prepared for that. Before we get started, Imo, do you want to say hi to everyone here?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today once again. As you all know, today marks the day 4 of this study series. We started it in last week. So this study series is going to continue from now till May 30th and will run twice a week, Monday and Tuesday, at exactly 6 p.m. West African time. So, like Tolu has said, it is not all just about the section where you come to just acquire only the knowledge. You are going to have a credit, AWS credit, being then through quizzes. And this AWS credit will help you to be able to have some hands-on experience by practicing what you have learned on AWS Cloud. So without much of you wasting much of your time, let's proceed to the event for today. And today we are going to thank you very much, Tolu. I appreciate that huge introduction. Thank you. Okay, so we proceed to today's section. Today we're going to be looking at securing access to AWS EC2 instances. AWS EC2 instances, meaning Elastic Compute Cloud, is one of the most popular compute services offered by Amazon Web Services. The likes of we have other ones like AWS Lambda, AWS Lightsail, all those ones are classified as compute solutions, services on the AWS. But the most widely used, which you and I cannot do without, is actually EC2 instances. I don't know how many of you have used EC2 instances, but if you are a regular user of the AWS Cloud, I don't think you have ever done without having to play around EC2 instances. So it is therefore very, very important for you to set boundaries when it comes to people who have access to your EC2 instances. Remember, you can use your EC2 instances to host important applications like web servers, databases that has some personal identifiable information of your users, spy information. Such information has to be secure. So you setting up boundaries, securing access to your EC2 instances is something that should not be negotiated. It's something that is paramount for you to do to succeed. So let's move down to the slide that we have for today. Now, if you understand what EC2 instance is, it means that you simply renting a particular empty hardware. This hardware you can use it to deploy either Linux Amazon machine and image AMI or Windows instant or Mac OS. So now, what according to AWS, EC2 provides a scalable computing capacity in the Amazon Web Services Cloud. Why do they say so? Provide scalable. I'm going to be taking that word scalable. It means that you can scale your EC2 up and down. You can actually tweak it to meet up with the demands of your applications. There are sometimes you might have a lot of people tripping in to use your web application that is being hosted on EC2 instances, and your EC2 instances run out of the resources that you specify at the initial stage. So EC2 gives you that ability to extend the capacity by increasing the RAM, storage, and resizing everything. And the good part is that EC2, though you can create it across regions, it works across all the AWS regions, and is easily attached to the block storage level, which is an elastic block store. That elastic block store, you can have one EC2 instance in maybe in the US one region, and it gives you ability to take a snapshot of this EBS to another region. Why do you need to do that? To preserve your data. So you can see how flexible EC2 instance is. All the components are flexible. Then you can also secure access in several ways, which we are going to look at today. So let's jump into what some features of Amazon Web Services. Now, when they say computing environment, and we are not going to just do only the speaker talking, we can interact through the chat section. The moderator will bring that to my attention. So if you have any question on your own, what would you think is EC2? That's in your own understanding of EC2. With EC2, remember, you don't need to buy hardware. Gone are the days where you have to buy servers, buy rack center, build on your own, and be able to manage everything, ranging from power, security, and all that. And now EC2, AWS built EC2 in order to take some burden off your shoulder and introduce the concept they call security in the cloud. Shared responsibility model, which has to do with you having to handle some of the security responsibilities, and AWS is in charge of security of the cloud, while you are in charge of the security in the cloud. Security in the cloud means you have to control some access to your EC2, which we are in part of our lesson today. So now look at what EC2 has as features. virtual computing environment, which makes it very better for you. And this virtual computing environment is popularly known as instances. So when you hear the name instances, these are the virtual environment, computing environment. And there are also pre-configured templates that comes with your EC2. And these pre-configured templates are known as AMI, Amazon Machine Images. And this pre-configured templates comes in form of OS, operating system like Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. So it also have various configuration inside different sizes. You can reside the memory, can reside the CPU, storage, and networking capacity. You can actually do a lot of things. So it's really, really flexible and it's made available for you. And it also has some feature that provide you with a secure login, such as using the key pairs. I can remember how many key pairs I have on my own AWS environment. So these key pairs can be reused. Even if when you launch an EC2 instance today and maybe trash it out, you can easily reduce the one you have created before. So we also have, it provides you with persistent storage, which I talked about it before. Elastic block store is a very, very good, in fact, a high grade level storage, block storage solution that is attached to your elastic blocks in elastic compute cloud EC2. By default, that's what comes with it. But if you need additional storage that can easily share file across regions and scalable, AWS also provides you with EFS, Elastic File System, which comes with Linux OS, Linux instances. Then if you also want to make it to be, if you are a Windows friend who is passionate about using Windows, AWS also provide you with a solution called Amazon FSx storage. That is particularly for Windows. So there are a lot of things you can do with EC2 instance. So they also have one of the features is multiple physical allocations for your resources. You can actually store your resources anywhere, maybe known as in many availability zones across the world, across all the AWS regions and all that. So we also have a firewall built in terms of you want to enable protocols, some protocols that can block some inbound and outbound access, like the security group, the network access control list. We also have the firewall, which you can actually configure and also enable you to be able to do. Please, if you have questions, drop them in the comment section. It's very important that we take questions, we entertain questions as we go along. Like I said, I'm not going to be the only speaker. You have to speak through the chat. So we also have EC2 also have a firewall component that can enable to secure access as well. Then there is also a static IP known as the Elastic IP. Elastic IP is very flexible for you to use and attach and release it from your EC2 instances. But bear in mind that you cannot release Elastic IP addresses when your EC2 instances is still running. You need to actually stop your EC2 instance and before you can release this IP address back. Then you also have the option of hibernating your EC2. Bear in mind whenever you hibernate your EC2 instances, AWS is not charging you. That means you have even the choice of launching one EC2 instance today and hibernating it, even go back to it tomorrow to do something on it. So there are a lot of things we can do with EC2 instances. Now we have in this image that is right there, which I'm going to explain much later, when you're talking about security groups and network access control lists, you can see that the EC2 is right within the middle of behind the security group, while SCL access control, network access control list stand at the front door to prevent some inbound and outbound access that comes from route table. Route table must be attached before your EC2 instances, before you can be able to connect to your EC2 instances. And what brings that network in is the internet gateway. We discussed all this in our first section last week. So we're going to go down to this other slide. We talk about complete solutions, services on AWS. Of course, there are many of them, but these are the few popular ones in which EC2 remain the most popular. So it's no longer new that EC2 is the most popular complete solution. AWS Lambda is also there. Amazon RDS is a managed service. Do not confuse. It's not RDS is not a serverless solution, but it works similarly to a serverless solution. People do confuse, but it's not. It's actually a managed service. But why is it different from EC2 is that you do not have anything to manage. AWS manage everything for you with RDS. Then Amazon Redshift, you can use Amazon Redshift to handle high volume of data and analytics and all that. Then you can use your Amazon Lifestyle to host a website and maybe WordPress website or any other website that you want to use. ECS, of course, when you are building your CI/CD pipelines, storing your CI/CD pipeline files and all that, you can use Amazon Elastic cloud service to do that. So that is it. And if you have questions, like I said, don't forget to ask through this chat section. So now, how can you secure access to your EC2 using security groups and network access control list? Bear in mind that aside security groups and network access control list, we also have other various optional stuff you can use in securing access. Now, security groups is a component of VPC, but it is attached at the instant level. That's the instant level means something that has to do with either your EC2 instance or your RDS instance, all those stuff. So now, the security groups is seen as the virtual firewalls for your EC2 instance to control incoming and outgoing traffic. By default, if you, let's say, if you do something like, let me see if I can have my pen here, I can write. If you have an IP address that is like a 0 dot, where you are defining your security rules, if you have something like this, /0, this means that you are letting everything into your EC2 instance. You are allowing all the IPs from anywhere to access your EC2 instance, which is not best practice when you are operating in a very secure production environment. So please don't do this in your main environment because anybody can brute force into your system and damage a lot of things for you. We are doing this for the purpose of training so that you can understand it very well. So now, as a virtual firewall, everything is a stateful firewall, of course, and everything is blocked by default. What do I mean by that? It is on to when you define that, okay, I want maybe ICMP ping protocol to be able to allow access. And who can tell me what does ICMP ping protocol do for you in your this thing? What does it do for you? What does ICMP ping protocol do? Anybody that wins they will get an extra voucher. Then when you participate in your quiz, don't Google it. So now you can use it to also block your SSH and a port 22. You can also use it to block the access from, these are known as administrative ports. These two ports, that is the SSH 22 port 22 and RDP port 3389. These are administrative ports because these administrative ports are the port you use to gain access to your EC2 instance. Then this one, if you are hosting a web server that runs on HTTP port 80, you have to block it. You don't have to open that for production environment. Also, this is also if you want to run it on the secured and HTTPS. You want to run it on a secured browser, you block this port as well. But if you want to, for demo purpose, you can open it and demonstrate how you can gain access and block access. So security groups gives you a lot of things to do. I know that this question is Google. You Google that. I know that the person that Dutchman, this is a Google question answer. So simply the way you put it in a way of a layman to understand is that what's it called ICMP protocol allow you to, it actually allows you to ping your EC2 instance from your local system. Assuming you use a Windows OS, after you launch an EC2 instance, by default, you cannot ping it. If you run ping, the ping command and also put the public IP address of that EC2 instance, you cannot ping it, except you go to your security groups and add EC2 and add the what's it called and add the ping protocol to be allowed from any IP from anywhere. That when you can ping it. I think we are going, if time permits us, we are going to demonstrate that as well. So we will see this diagram here. Right there, we have EC2 instance within the security group. So that's why the EC2 security group is known as a firewall that operates at the instant level, while network access control is known as the firewall, stateless firewall that operates at the subnet level. So they both work together to provide secured access to your EC2 instance. So we move down to another slide. If you have questions, go ahead to ask. Thank you for your contribution. I can see image not clear. Wow. Okay, guys. Okay, so we have security group rules for different use cases. Remember that you can define security group rules for different use cases. Like you can define the one that controls access to your web servers. You can also define the one that controls access to database servers, and also the one that you can connect to your instances from your computer. Which this falls under the ICMP. This falls under the SSH and RDP protocol. Then rules to connect to instances from an instance within the same security groups. You can set that as well. And also you can also define the one for ICMP ping protocol. You can also define the one for DNS server rules. You can also define the one for EFS, elastic file system. You can also define the one for elastic load balancer, and also the one for VPC peering and all that. So there are different rules for different use cases when it comes to setting up security groups rules. So we also have the diagram here is that you have your own EC2 web server, which is an EC2 instance that holds the application files in the public subnet. And this public subnet is being guided by a security group. And there's a load balancer standing in between just to help to redistribute traffic across these two web servers and all that. And also we have to have your own database which has more critical data being in the private subnet. You can only get traffic out of this private subnet to the public subnet through the use of AWS NAT gateway, which is part of what we discussed last week. So all these ones are ways you can secure access to your EC2 instances. So while setting up the rules, just as I said before, you can see from the screen that you have the port 80, which controls access in your over the HTTP, maybe a web browser and all that, and it allows inbound connection from any IP version 4 address. When you have this is the same way in a secure web browser that has the HTTPS run over or HTTP that for port 443. Is it advisable to put a web server in the public? Yes, it is advisable. Why do you need to put it in a public subnet is because at least people have to have access to your web application. Maybe if you are hosting something like it's a public facing application, people have to have access to it. As long as you attach the internet gateway, because without the internet gateway, people cannot. Of course, there will be no internet coming into your EC2 instance, and the web application wouldn't be accessible. So it is important that you move the critical instances, which is the database, back to the private subnet. Remember, you can only get outbound connection from your database instances, maybe the RDS instance or DynamoDB and all that. Though DynamoDB is not actually classified under what's called under compute. It's classified under serverless compute solution. It's actually a managed a NoSQL database. So now we have all this defined. If the organization is using IP version 6, you can define the rule like this. That is double IV and /0 within the port. So now we move down to another slide, which has to do with the network access control list. Now, network access control list allowed or denies specific inbound and outbound traffic at the subnet level. It is stateless in nature. Now, what you can see with these knuckles is that it's popularly pronounced as knuckles. You have the rule number, type, protocol, port range, source, destination, and allowed. Now, the rules number are defined from maybe 100 down to whatever you want. And remember that these rules are evaluated with the lowest numbered rule. The lowest numbered rules are more powerful than the higher one. I don't know if that's clear. So now, if you have the type, which is also the type of traffic that is coming in that you are allowed, it could be like maybe you want to allow the SSH traffic to come in, or you want to allow maybe RDP traffic, and also the protocol. You have to define the protocol. Maybe if you want to specify, I just talked about the ICMP protocol. You want to define it. ICMP is a layer 3 a kind of network layer in the ISO model. So it's not like it's different from TCP UDP, which is the transport layer 4. So there's no port number assigned to ICMP. It's actually a ping protocol. So another one is you can also define the source. The source is specifically talking about where the source of your traffic is coming from. It could be from a certain CIDR range of IP address block, maybe from 192 to 200. You can define like that, or a certain block of CIDR range should be allowed. Then destination is actually the outbound rules only. The destination for the traffic, where the traffic is actually coming from. Then allowed and deny is whether you want to allow or deny a specific traffic, a kind of a specified traffic within a range of IP addresses. So we have, you can see from the diagram, we have our network access control list attached at the subnet level. This is the router. The route table, this is also known as the route table, that routes internet traffic to the internet gateway. So by default, network access control list allowed everything in. Remember, the stateful firewall, which is the security groups, block everything by default. While the network access control list allow things until you say, I want it to be blocked, I want it to be denied. That's when the network access control list can take effect. So another one we have on the screen, is there a question for me to take? Okay. So now you can see from the table that we have on the screen that when you are defining the rule, the network access control list by default allowed everything. Just as I said, everything is allowed. Again, this asterisk means any rules, any protocol that does not fall between the rules of 100 rules should be blocked, should be denied. That's what asterisk means. Wildcard is anything that is not within the range of 100 should be blocked by default. So now, other ways of securing access to your EC2 instances. So now you can actually increase the level of access to your EC2 instance by connecting using a standalone SSH client, maybe like Putty. I don't know how many of you have used Putty before. That is actually one of the secure standalone third-party SSH client that you can use. Then we also have, you can establish connection to your EC2 instance using the session manager. You can also connect using the browser-based SSH connection as well. All these things are provided. You can manage your credentials used to connect in terms of setting up the right IAM and the right connection credentials using the key pair. And if it's a Windows instance, of course, AWS will generate even a private key for you when you're even connecting to a Windows instance using RDP. they're going to maybe create a private key for you. It is until you activate that private key that a very strong password will be revealed to you. Most of you that have used Windows Instant before on the AWS Cloud. So it's not just go straight to it. So you can managing the guest operating system, ensuring that you deploy the latest guest operating system, ensuring that your operating system is up to date is one of the ways for you to avoid being attacked. And also you can configure the right IAM roles that are attached to the instance and the permissions associated with the roles. Ensure that you don't give excessive privilege to your colleagues, who give them a certain amount of privileges that they need to do their job. That is what the principle of this privilege says. So now we have another one. We are going to jump straight to the to the console and be able to see what we can do. This is right my browser. If you are with your system, it's advisable you also get along. So let me expand the screen size and see. Okay. So console dot. Let's launch an instance. And another one I didn't talk about is actually with EC2 instance. You can actually write your Bootstrap script. Bootstrap script enable your instance to boot up. It runs your instance as it runs alongside with your instance as it is booting up and all that. So one of the access is also to enable the MFA. You can use a hardware token key like I'm using now. One of the ways, first of all, prevent access to your this thing before any unauthorized person will even gain access to the root account. Because anything that happens to the root account, your AWS account is gone. It's as simple as that. Because the root account has the absolute privilege to do anything. By default, AWS, based on recommendation, when you are using it on production environment, in fact, do not use the root account regularly to create additional IAM users and all that. So now we have, I'm right inside my AWS console. So let's quickly launch EC2 instance. This is my EC2 instance. I want to check. There are optional ways you can also further enhance security of your EC2 instances. You can define firewalls. You can also define network firewalls as well for them to also secure access to your instances. So I do not currently have any running instance. I'm going to launch one. So in the process of launching your own instance, you can give it any name. I'm going to just give my web server DMZ. So I'm going to leave it at the default Amazon Linux image. Leave it at this. Everything is default. This is all totally verified. Then leave it at T2 micro. By key pair, I can choose to create a new one. I want to use the existing one. And DMZ key to create. This is what we are familiar with. Ensure you download the key. If you don't download the key, you won't be able to get it again unless you generate a new one. So another one is, now this is where we are going to talk about more because this is actually the area of emphasis for today. Now you see that by default, there is a security group that is already there. It will tell you create new or use from existing ones. Remember that you can attach one security group to as many EC2 instances that you want. And you can actually attach another security group even while your instance is running. So there's no limit to the number of EC2 security groups you can attach. So now I'm going to go ahead and edit this place, the network setting. Now the default VPC, which is already there, I'm not going to create a new VPC. Now the subnet is already created. The public IP address by default actually become disabled. You can actually enable it for it to be able to have access to it. So I'm going to create a new one. I can call it Web DNC Fire Security Group, SG. So now, description, no need for that. That is optional. So this is the rule that we have by default. Since it's Linux, this thing, the rule is allowed already, but 22 is open. Now I can decide to say custom define the range of IP. I can decide to say, okay, I want my only my IP address to be able to get access to this EC2 instance. Now, since I'm setting anywhere, since it's stated anywhere here, it means that any IP address can access it. So it's here, I can go ahead and add as many rules that I want. So now I want to add the web server rule, which is the, okay, I can add the HTTP rule, but AWS has defined everything for you. So once you select the rule, you come by default. Then this one will be to anywhere. Do not do this in a production environment. It is dangerous. Anybody can be forced into your system and do some dangerous stuff. So we have the HTTP which is for 443. Then anywhere. I'm going to leave it like that for now. Then advanced option is advanced detail option. Now you can actually optionally define a user data, maybe like a bootstrap script. Remember, there are two data that is attached to your EC2 instance. One is the metadata that is found within your EC2 in dashboard. There's a question from Dutchman. The question says, when we define my IP, is this IP that of the EC2 or that of the local computer? No, yes, it is that of your local computer. That's the one within your network. The network you are currently connected to in your local system environment outside the AWS. So you can actually take in your IP address from your own end device, and go and define it. Okay, I want my IP address alone to have access. So that's what it means. So now this user data, like I said, it contains, sometimes you define, maybe you can run maybe you want to launch Apache web server or Nginx web server. You can actually write a script that will just launch that immediately your EC2 instance is launched and paste it here. And Bootstrap script is the script that starts up when your EC2 instance starts up immediately. Now another one is the metadata, which contains all the data about your EC2 instance. We are going to look at that after the EC2 has been launched. So now we are not going to provide the user data. We are going to just go ahead and launch the EC2 instance. So now the instance has been successfully launched, initiated. I'm going to check the status. So this is called the EC2 tab. This place, you have a lot of things about your EC2, how flexible it is, the image catalog we can select. Now the instance types, we have the launch template. You can launch pre-configured template are there. You can define spot instances. You can request for it. If you have a more predictable application to run, maybe you want to do an application that wants to run maybe for 5 hours, you can request for a spot instance. But bear in mind that you cannot use spot instance to host critical data, because once the period you request for expires, AWS will delete everything. The data will lost. So it does use it for temporary. Then savings plan. You can request for saving plan. You can also reserve instance. At least reserve instance, you can enjoy up to 70% discount. Spot instance, I think is 90% discount. Then dedicated host, this is quite expensive. All those stuff are here for you. So my instance is running now. I'm going to go ahead and open the instance. Let us look at the metadata page. These are the metadata. Data about your EC2 instance is what metadata means. Now we have the public IP address. We have the private IP. We also have now the details tab is where you have everything. When you are accessing it, you can go to the security tab. This is our point of emphasis. These are the ports. These are the rules that we define. We actually allow access from port 80, 443, and 22. Now, you can actually edit this rule. By going to this place. You want to add additional rule. Now, let us do something. Let's go to my local computer and try to ping the public IP address of this EC2 instance. using the normal system and built-in Windows built-in command prompt. So if you have it now, this is my interface, the command prompt interface. We'll take up the public IP. Then I run the ping command. Ping. If you observe, it will not ping because we did not define the ICMP rule to be allowed. We didn't add it in the security group, and we did not also add it to in the network access control list, which we are going to also go to that place. So now, for you to be able to ping this instance, you need to go to your security group and add a new rule to allow that. Now, we have this. Go to the inbound rules, edit inbound rules, add another rule. So even while the instance is being run, you can see add another thing. So I allow all ICMP IP version 4. Since I'm running IP version 4, if you have 6, you can define that. So I'm going to say anywhere. Now, if you save this, you should be able to ping the EC2 instance from our local computer now. If I record that stuff, so it's responding. The first thing why return timeout is maybe it didn't pick up immediately, so it returns the ping. That shows you that take effect. So you can also do. Let's try to connect to our EC2 instance, either using the SSH or the web browser connection. Now, for you to access, let's also go to the VPC interface to check our network security and network access control list rule. Now you have the public IP here. Then you connect by. I already have my own stuff here. What I'm going to do is just to change that. Be able to grant the read-write access to myself with the key that I defined. My key is, let me confirm the name of my key. The CS mode is change mode. That's what it means. So you need to change the mode for DMC key or pen for you to be able to. Sorry, this wouldn't work. You can use. What I usually use is the git bash. Git bash is recognized Linux command by default. The other one is, this Windows stuff. Okay, sorry, you can also, I wasn't in the directory. Okay, it works, I think it works. So go to the download folder which contains that, because it goes straight to the download folder. Then change mode to 400 and then key. So one of the ways for you to securely connect to your EC2 instance is to use SSH connection. You cannot. Is one of the ways, and you are not permitted to share this access with unauthorized person. So now to connect to the instance, you go to the connect, then SSH client. Then pick up this. SSH-I. Then your key is dmz-key.pen. The name of the EC2 instance is EC2-user at the public IP that we have. Public IP is somewhere. I think I've copied that again. Okay. So if you will try to SSH into your VP's EC2 instance and you're not getting a response, you have to. That is another optional way. For I'm inside the EC2 instance now. So you can go ahead and do a lot of things by updating your package manager and all that. So one of the ways for you to also block access, one of the optional way is through route table. You can actually use the route table to also block access to your EC2 instance. If you go to networking tab, you observe the subnet ID that is attached. This is DA5. Note that. So now, if you go to the VPC console dashboard, VPC, okay, you click the VPC dashboard, you'll be able to see, note that subnets and the route table that is attached to it. If there's no route table attached to it, you won't be able to connect. So that's one of the ways for you to also prevent unnecessary access. You can only open it whenever you want it. You can attach and reattach the route table from your internet gateway. Now, this is the route table stuff. We have one, which is this, and which is used by two subnets. If you open this subnet, you realize that one of the one that's attached, one of the subnet attached to that VPC, which is used by my EC2 instance, is using one of these route tables. If I delete this route table now, in fact, I can't even delete it because it is in use until I kill my EC2 instance to prompt error. But there are times you might find it difficult to connect to your EC2 instance. Maybe you want to do important things, but it's necessary that you check everything, check that everything is fine. Route table and internet gateway is attached to your VPC and all that. If you want to detach this, it will throw error because it's in use. Let's see. You can detach it until you actually release that. So even the route table subnets also are there. You can actually use subnet is one of the ways for you to also prevent unnecessary unauthorized access to your EC2 instance. Now under this is where you can see the network access control list. The rule, like I was talking about before, actually defined this in my own. I was doing something on my own, so I defined this rule because I needed to run a web server application. So I have to allow this, and for 80 by default on your own, you only have 100. I actually optionally add this, so you can actually add it on your own. You can actually add it by, let me go back. You can actually add your rules, define your rules again by, let's see, on that inbound rule. So a deep association, let's see something there. So now this network access control list is attached to the default, by default is here. So now if you want to do something, you see that the outbound rule, which I did not define, that which takes traffic out of my instance alone. I didn't add anything, so by default it's like this. Is what we talked about before. So coming back to this, any question, please? So far, did we get get something out of today's section? If we get something, at least let's find a way to ask questions. Remember what this flow log does. Though we are not talking about VPC, it filter IP address for your inbound and outbound traffic coming into your distance. So now, another option you can use in securing access, like I said before, is to define your firewall. You can define network firewall. Under firewall, you can create a policies and rules and attach it to your EC2 instance. Create a firewall. I'm not going to do that because it actually costs money. It's not free. You have to pay. It's a managed firewall solution by the AWS. So you can create policies, you can create a network firewall rule group. You can also create the resource group, which is a new service added recently to the AWS console, management console. So that's what you can see. So section manager, okay. Someone said, although I understand that under EC2 instant connect interface, You can define rules for you to be able to connect. These are one of the things. You need to install the agent. Our time will not permit us to go through this, but on your own, I'm going to paste this link for you to be able to go through the guide. It's very straightforward, pretty straightforward. This white paper explains everything that you need to do. You need to run the agent, install the agent on the instance. You can install agent on both Windows and Linux servers, Linux instances, and use it to run. So these are the stuff you need. Let me paste the link for you to. Can we the NACO, can we see a practical? Okay. Yes, you can define that. Go to let's go to network security and network access control list. This is the one we have here, and are attached to subnet. Remember, they operate at the subnet level. So now you can create a rule here and say, okay, this is my ACL rule. This is your new rule that you create. Now you can say, okay, which VPC I want to attach to. You can choose maybe the default one, or you can create another one. Now the key pair, maybe tax is not compulsory. Let's see. So now we have the rule once again created, which is this one. So now we have the under the network access control list, we have the inbound rule. Now you see that from by default that the one you just created, the rule that comes out is denied. That it does not affect any IP address. It means that all the IP addresses are allowed. So now you can decide to say, I want to edit the inbound rule so as to prevent unauthorized this thing by adding a rule here. And say, okay, the rule number, which is the priority number, is 100. Where do you want to access allowed access SSH for 22 from anywhere? Now the rule is allowed. You choose to deny, no problem. So you can save it. So what you now have one additional rule which allows traffic. I don't know if that is on the answers the question. So you can actually do the same thing with outbound rule by editing it and adding it. And once you add it, if this is your new rule, go back to your subnet and attach this new one. If you want to set preeminence over the existing network access control list that is attached to the subnet, which is attached to the network to your EC2 instance. You actually set that up as well. So as I was talking about using the system manager, follow these white papers, this scholarly written article by AWS to guide you through on that. We don't have time to go through the setup for that. So it's one of the most secure way to actually work with your EC2 instance. So at this point, we'll call it a day while we bring you up to the quiz section, and I wish you all the best as you go ahead to answer your quiz question. Tolu is back, so it's quiz time. Tolu, are you there?
Yes, Emma, I'm here.
Okay. So
Okay.
we are going into the quiz section right now. Remember, if you are a winner, you have to state your position. When you send, we received some mails yesterday. The email we received, about 2 persons did not state either they were first or second. So that's why they have not received their vouchers. I believe one person stated that she came second, and the other person, we don't know who is first or third. So you kindly go back to yesterday. If a winner yesterday, state it there. And today on, I wish you guys all the best. To be over to you. So are you able to share your screen for the quiz?
No. Please help me with that.
All right. Okay, so let's get to kahoot.com. So I mean, I'm doing that for what after login. So endeavor to be on the lookout for the quiz pin, which is loading. It's getting you ready and set for for the quiz. So the quiz pin is right there on the screen. 6609787 is the quiz pin. 10 pin, sorry. Very for that. So over to you. I presented it.
Okay.
So we have three people joining.
Yes, we have three already. So, guys, logging into okay. I think people are trying to join in. Hoji, Cloud Master, Yobami. Okay. I think we can start now.
Okay.
We have enough
We
people.
have, we have eight, yes. Okay. So the question number one is, so we'll do the reading for them.
Yeah, what are bootstrap script? A script that displays an instance metadata. B data about your EC2 instance. C a script that runs when the instance first runs. D a metadata script for your application. We have 5 answers already, guys.
Yeah, very fast.
8 answers. John, you need to pick, not answer on the chat box.
I need to pick John. John, big D, a metadata script for your application.
All right, just 8 answers.
Over seven people have it. Let's see the top. Harry, Harry Potter. Wow. Is that the let? But maybe not for. Okay, we
Harry
go again,
Potter.
guys. Okay, Harry Potter. Freaky is always coming second, and over third now.
Guys,
Okay,
understand that speed is also required. Okay, so with security group, A, all outbound rows are blocked by default. B, and inbound rules are allowed by default. C, all HTTPS rules are allowed by default. All inbound rules are allowed by default. Just 2 answers, guys. Speed is required when it comes to Kahoot. Okay, John, please log on to www.kahoot.it.
John, is this your first time of joining the game? So we have six people. Let's see, Drex. Trex has come up. Wow. Wow.
Trex.
Wow. Trex.
I'm not seeing a reporter. A reporter, where are you?
We go next.
So, what do SSH or security group rules mean? Block all IP addresses within the range, filter all networks traffic to and fro from your EC2 instance, allow all SSH connections from anywhere, block inbound and outbound traffic from IP addresses within the range. So what does the security group rules? What does it mean? Yeah, I can see a lot of people actually. You don't see
Someone is asking
questions on your side.
side.
Oh, can't you see the screen? God's time.
Did you join the right pin? The game pin was posted as this.
You should be able to, especially when
Okay.
you're in.
Freaky is stopping. Wow.
Guys,
Yes.
understand that if you're choosing the right answer, that is great, but you need to, speed is also required. You need to pick as soon as possible. Number four question, 4 out of 6. Which of these are referred to as administrative ports? A, port 443 and 8080, port 1433 and 5439, ports 1521 and 5432, port 22 and 3389. Which of these ports are referred to as administrative ports? 5 answers already. That's great.
It's,
7. Nice.
three people got it right. Rex, top. Wow. Federal.
Tracks again. Okay. The network access control list is a Dutch firewall. What firewall is a network access control list? Is it a packet filtering firewall, stateful inspection firewall, application level gateway, stateless inspection firewall? 5 answers already. That's good. So you need to be able to log into kahoot.it. Once you log in and you make use of the passcode that was shared earlier, you should be in God's time.
There are five people got it right. Wow. We
Rex
go
is
to the
still
last
topic.
question.
The ICPM protocol is referred to as, is it the management protocol, the ping protocol, the web server management protocol, or a web browser HTTPS protocol? What protocol is the ICPM protocol referred to? 8 answers already. That's good. I think at this point we're just waiting for the time to go off.
Yes. So
Sorry about that at the page.
sorry about that. We have six people got it right. So this is the last stage.
Ayobami, Freaky, and number one, Trex.
Okay. Wow.
Well done, guys. Well done. So please don't forget to share your details to the email address shared earlier. Email, if you can help us share that
Yeah,
on the.
the email address will be shared to you. So share your email address. That email address, please include your LinkedIn profile, your Twitter handle, so we can track you and make you popular on our social media pages. And also remember to text your full name and the nickname that you're using here, so that we'll be able to identify these people were there. Please.
All right, thank you. Tolu is saying
Uh,
something. I give my voucher to the fort.
who came first? How do we know that?
How did you know? And that is that
Who is
the
the fourth?
saying
The fourth
thanks.
person should claim, okay, Adegbeju, are you the fourth person? Okay,
How
that's
did you know
good.
he's the fourth person?
If you are the fourth person, as um, Tolu has willingly given you the voucher, no wahala, reach out to us. So we have Trex, we
Thank
have
you,
Freaky,
Tolu.
and we have Ayokami. Okay, thank you guys
Well
for
done,
joining.
guys. Well done.
Okay. Do you
So
remember to
over to
follow
you,
us on
Emma.
social media?
All right.
Remember to follow us on social media channel? The link are shared in the chat section. Stay up to date with us there. Okay. Thank you for joining us. Please endeavor to join us next week till the end of May 30th. Thank you guys. Bye.